Hey everybody, welcome back to the Smarketing CONNECT podcast. I am your host, Tom Libby, one of the co-founders of Smarketing CONNECT, and today I have a very special guest with me. Omar is from the Washington, D.C. area, which is one of our first Smarketing CONNECT experts down in that area. Omar, why don't you give us a brief introduction to yourself, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, man. Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Omar Abdelrehim, and I really help companies grow their sales organization using sales and marketing techniques that have been proven and used, tried over and over again.
Oh, that was pretty succinct. So
Yeah.
Do you have a preferable type of company, style company, who you typically do business with?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I have, there's companies I work with that are publicly traded all the way down to solopreneurs. So it really doesn't matter. It's just what the most important thing is that, you know, that they're kind of clear on what they want to do, right? And even if they're not clear, but we can help them with some of that clarity, but they need to commit to, hey, I'm going to put a marketing effort to try to generate activity, which will eventually turn into leads. So that's essentially the main thing that we look for, is for companies that are committed to actually doing marketing and to actually generate leads. That's the number one focus.
So the style of company or the size of the company is not relevant, and the geographic area of the company isn't relevant either at this point, I would imagine.
No, it doesn't, especially in this day and age with the COVID. It's mainly virtual, and I've got clients across so many different industries now. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we can leave it at that.
Yeah.
So with all this stuff that you got going on, and I know you personally, so it's easier for me to think of the things that you use as like small business tools and your tech stack and all that stuff and you got some really cool stuff going on. But would you say you have a favorite? And if you do, why would you think small business owners should really be using it?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So there's a bunch of tools, as you know, have a pretty big tool chest. And so really, if you're in the B2B world, right, where your target market are other businesses, then if you're not on LinkedIn, if I were to give one tool, because that's the hub of the whole thing, right? So if you are doing B2B business, you must be on LinkedIn. I don't even know how to stress that. And I wasn't on LinkedIn for marketing for a number of years. And I tell you, when I started to get into it, when I hired professionals to coach me and to mentor me and help me through that process, I was like, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. I mean, why didn't I? You know, it was just amazing how I was able to generate leads, right, on there with people that want to talk with me. You know, it's not a cold call, man. I mean, like, you know, hey, can I talk to the person who's in charge of blah? No, the person who's in charge of blah is getting on my calendar. Yeah. So it was for me, it was a huge eye opener. So that tool, that's the hub of the whole thing. If you're doing B2B business, you must. And Tom, we're running your campaign, right? I mean, you're getting meetings.
That's correct.
On a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
So as you can see, that is a very critical tool in my opinion. That definitely must have.
Yeah, I would definitely be a testimonial for you. If you ever needed somebody to call and say, hey, does this stuff really work? I'd be right there for you. So
I love it.
Yes, everybody.
I love it.
Omar helps me out with my LinkedIn profile. So if you know me, if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, it might have actually been because of Omar. So
I love it.
So you're talking about LinkedIn as lead generation, and I know that's, you know, you're kind of like that area of expertise is like that beginning stage of the lead generation part, at least getting the conversation started, right? Mm-hmm. So would you consider that the challenge that they bring you in to solve, or is that some sort of symptom of a bigger challenge that they're really looking to solve?
That's a good question. So typically the reality is, the challenge is, you know what, we either don't do enough business or we want to do more business, right? And then when you really peel back the onion and get down to the core, right, a lot of that really is the type of leads that they're getting, right? And the biggest challenge, I think, where small business owners face is they're trying to sell to a customer who's not ready to buy yet, right? And so hence, you know, you have like these really low close ratios, you know, you get a lot of rejections, you get all of these things, right? We've been in sales for years, so we're all not strangers to that, right? So that is that's usually the driving factor, right? Nobody comes to me and says, hey, I want to generate more leads. That's not really the reason why they come. Like, hey, I want to grow my business, you know, and I need to do more marketing, or, you know, I want to close more deals, but essentially it's about, they want to do more business. That's the biggest challenge that most people come to me with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. So they come to you because it's a revenue challenge, and you basically find out ultimately that it's a lead gen challenge and making the leads better and more closable in the beginning versus trying to, you know, qualify and disqualify people through this whole long process.
Yeah, because what happens is this, man, there's a whole entire sales process. It all starts with lead generation, right? So if you're not generating enough leads, you're gonna seem desperate when it's time for you to try to close that person, right? That desperation is gonna come off clear, and the person's gonna be turned off, right? In a lot of cases, right? But if you're coming off as a consultative approach, because I have plenty of leads. Hey, listen, I got plenty of leads. I'm gonna hang up the phone with you. I got 3 other calls later today, right? So at that time, now you're a little bit more comfortable, that confidence level starts to develop. All of a sudden now the conversation you're having with people is a different level. That automatically lends credibility in the person. Okay, this person's not trying to sell me, he's trying to consult me. You know what? So then all of a sudden the next question is, you know, hey, how do you work? How can you help me, or how can we work together? Which typically it's like you're the one that's pushing them. Hey, let me get your proposal. Let me do this. You know, so it's the other way around, and it just happened yesterday. Same thing. He says, hey, listen, can you send me a proposal? He says, you know, I appreciate that you're not trying to sell me. He says, everyone's trying to sell me. So the lead generation is the very early part of it. And if we do some work on the lead generation, typically the rest of the sales process gets easier to manage. And then you can really pinpoint some things, and then we can help in those pinpointed areas. But the very beginning of anything is leads. If you don't have enough leads, that's problem number one.
And maybe the word easy is probably not what I would choose, but maybe predictable, right? So your sales process becomes way more predictable if that lead gen is tightened up.
Yeah, well, it's predictable, but also in the same, and what I meant by easier, and I apologize for that, but that basically means that you get to the point where when it's ready to actually ask for the business, it's a lot easier to do, rather than, hey, so when are we gonna get started? You know, it's not not like that.
I got you.
But that's basically it.
I got you. So Omar, I'm assuming that your clients ask you questions about other disciplines, whether they should hire somebody else for like an SEO expert, or a sales, you know, some other sales consultant, or I don't know, some other marketing discipline or whatnot. If one of your clients came to you with a question like that, what type of advice would you give them about looking for that person or hiring that person?
Yeah, that's a very good question, man. And you know, that's such a tough question to answer. But one big piece of advice is, hey, first of all, if you're going to do that, you have to have a budget in mind, number one. Like, you have to know how much money you have, how much money you have to spend. And two, what are you looking for that money to do? Like, oh, I'm going to throw $1,000 a month and I want more leads. Okay, well, wait a minute. Hang on a second. How many leads? You know, what are we talking about? What are you trying to do? I think the better clarity you have in your direction and your goals, then it will definitely it will put you in a position to make a better decision based on your situation, which is, hey, listen, I know that if I get in front of 50 people, I'm going to close 25 of them. I have a 50% close ratio. So that means now my capacity is this many people I can talk in a month, right? So, okay, now I need to find a company that can help me generate this many leads per month, because after that, it's a waste, right? And anything less than like 5 leads is not going to help me. So once you know that, then when you have discussions with these sales and marketing agencies, then you can actually have a more educated discussion and say, hey, listen, you know, really what I'm looking to do is I need to generate about 20 to 30 phone calls a month, right? And that's really what I'm looking for. That's a much easier conversation to have, and to say, hey, listen, what can your marketing company do for me?
Yeah. So that old Stephen Covey adage of starting with the end in mind, right? That's basically what it is. So make sure that the end results are crystal clear, and then you know what questions to ask to get to those results, and make sure that the partner that you're dealing with understands that and can achieve that.
Absolutely. I mean, like, for example, I'm getting in the car, I'm driving. Where am I going?
Yeah.
If I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what directions to take. But if I know where I'm going, there's multiple different ways to get there. I just need to find the one that's the most effective and fits me.
Right, right. Gotcha. That's a
Right?
good analogy. I like that one. I like that one.
Hmm.
All right. So Omar, this is my fun question of the podcast. I love to ask people this question because, well, quite honestly, I just get intrigued by all the different types of answers I get. I don't know why. I think I might be starting some sort of psychology study here. But so Omar, I ask you, if you could be a superhero, who would you be, and tell me why?
Man, this is a loaded question, but I tell you what, man, when I was a kid growing up as a red hair, everyone said, hey, man, your hair is on fire, your hair is on fire. So I would like to be Iceman from the X-Men. So I got fire and ice, man. I'd be the fire and ice guy, you know?
There you go. There you go. And keep everything cool and heat it up when you need to. There you go.
There you go, man.
That's
I can
good.
cool it when I want, and I got HVAC, you know what I mean?
There you go.
It's not an air conditioner or a heater, it's HVAC.
I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. So this is getting back to seriousness, I guess.
Right.
So we like, in this podcast, we like to give a shout out to our colleagues and friends that are in our world. We know that sales and marketing people tend not to do this alone. Usually we have a what I call a stable of experts that we call on when we need them, and they usually do great jobs for us. So do you have somebody in your stable of experts that you would like to give a shout out to and tell everybody that they do a great job with?
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish I could give more than one, so you definitely would be in there, but I know you're humble. So, and you said, hey, let's give someone else a shot. So there's a good friend of mine that I know that's really good, and he's in sales and marketing. He's more on the leadership and development side. And I think that's very important, because I think once you kind of grasp what does that mean to be a leader and what does that mean to develop personally, then I think you can really grow your business because you're growing yourself. Yeah. And once you grow yourself, it just really opens up your mind, expands opportunities for you, and then you're able to identify certain things and you can catch them before it gets worse. And then you can always identify a situation that's actually going to take you, and propel you in the right direction. So that would be my thing right there.
So, what is their name and where do
they? Oh yeah, I guess that would help, right?
Yeah.
So his name is Tim Nelson, and he's out of the South Carolina area, and he's a disabled vet like me. Oh, by the way, I am a disabled veteran, U.S. Navy, and he's thank you, and he's a disabled vet from the Army. So, and he's in South Carolina, and and he's been doing this for many years. So he's not a rookie, and he's pretty good at it, actually.
Cool. So Tim, if you're watching this, I'll be tagging you in the post, and hopefully you and I can have a conversation. Maybe we can get you on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
So the last slide we have here, Omar, is basically your contact information. I tell everybody on every podcast, all of this information I found public facing, either on on your website or in some landing page or whatnot that you've had. So aside from what people see here, is there any other way that you would like them to get in touch with you or follow up with you if they have questions about your information?
Well, we talked about LinkedIn, and I don't have my LinkedIn profile here. So obviously I got to add that in, right?
Of course, yeah.
So, so I'm Omar Abdelrehim. I'm the only Omar Abdelrehim, not in the world, but it may be on LinkedIn. But you can look me up, Omar Abdelrehim, and I've got no hair. It used to be red, and I got a beard. So I'm very easy to find. And please, if you find me there, please send me a connection request.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you remember nothing else, Omar is one of our experts here on Smarketing CONNECT. So if you can't remember any of this or you can't find him on LinkedIn, you're here on Smarketing CONNECT with us. So just reach out to me and I'll make sure you get in touch with Omar. I might just even make the introduction for you if that's easier. But Omar, thank you very much for your time, for your insights. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun for me, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me, man. It was great.